Yo, what's up? I'm going to be bringing this new video to the channel. It's going to be just an early look at the odds of every UFC card. I'm probably going to be doing it for every Sunday from now on, or I'm going to try to. And don't take me 100% for my word on these ones. I am going to be coming back giving a official breakdown prediction video like always. I may change a couple picks. It's a lot of these fights I haven't looked into too much yet, and just going off what I think about the fighter and what I think about the line right away. Some of these I have looked into, but some of them I haven't, so I could change my opinion potentially. But just right now, I'm going to tell you guys kind of my synopsis, what I think about the odds. Do I think they're right? Do I think they're off a little bit? What I think, potentially could be a good bet and things like that. So we got Balbita taking on Goldie in this first fight. And personally, I think the line should be flipped. I think Balbita probably is the better fighter. She's a little bit bigger. She is coming down a weight class. She's going to have a big reach advantage in this one. And I think she's the tougher, grittier girl that hits harder. She's going to be trying to bring that pressure, walk down Hannah, and land the big shots, maybe get in the clinch, work from there. She does like to wrestle, but her submission defense isn't good, and I feel like it's kind of a low IQ thing for her to grapple in certain fights. For instance, like her last fight against Jojua. Goldie, she's coming in off a long layoff, and I'm not super impressed with Goldie. I actually was going to bet on Jessica Panay when they had a matchup announced earlier this year, but unfortunately Goldie, pulled out from that fight, and she hasn't fought in quite a while. So this is going to be a return, so maybe she's going to be looking a little bit better. I am a little bit worried about Balbita taking her down, getting caught in an armbar or something, even though Goldie hasn't necessarily shown that in her past fights. She has been training with Jillian Robertson quite a bit, and maybe she'll have acquired some good submission skills. So who knows? I feel like Goldie, she's going to be looking to move, cut angles. She's going to have the speed advantage. Balbita is going to be looking to walk her down and make it more of an ugly fight. As far as a bet goes, like I said, I do think the line should probably be Balbita as the favorite. So in that sense, maybe Balbita has some value, but man, if you look at her resume, she's been a lot of 0-0 opponents. She really isn't a skillful fighter, and I just don't want to get in that business, most likely. I don't think I'm going to end up betting that fight. Balbita, she makes a lot of mistakes fight IQ-wise. Goldie, I'm not a big fan of either, but, maybe Goldie could find a way to win this fight somehow. And even though I think Balbita should be the favorite, it's probably going to be a pass for me as a fight. As a pick, I'm probably going to pick Balbita, but as a bet, it's probably going to be a pass on that one. And Andre Ewell, Julio Arce, right away, once again, I kind of feel this line is a little bit off. We got Andre Ewell as a pretty sizable favorite, underdog, plus 165. We got Julio Arce coming in almost 2-1 favorite, minus 190. He is a 2-1 favorite in some books. And I just disagree with that line being that wide, because there's a lot of things, even before we get to the fighting aspect of it with Julio Arce, that just make me think it should be a closer line fight. First of all, it's going to be the first time he's dropping down to 135 since 2015. He's been, majority 145 fighter throughout his career. He also is coming in off almost a 2-year layoff here. He had double elbow surgery. So just those three things alone just kind of makes, in my opinion, that line a little bit unwarranted. But even when you look at just the fight stylistically, we got a guy in Andre Ewell who, is very inconsistent and kind of one-dimensional. We all kind of know what Andre wants to do. He wants to look for that left cross, southpaw. He's long. He's pretty athletic. He has fast hands and good movement, and tries to kind of just counter, touch you as you try to come in and, win a points battle, or maybe he could knock you out with that left hand if you could land it really clean. But, he doesn't really have a lot of wrinkles to his game or elements. He's pretty easy to read and defeat. But a guy like Julio Arce, he's not really a grappler. He doesn't really go for a lot of takedowns. He is going to be a superior jiu-jitsu guy, so maybe that'll be part of his game plan in this one. But he doesn't really do that in a lot of his fights. And also, he's more of a range striker himself. He's going to be at a big range disadvantage. He doesn't really throw a lot of leg kicks. I think, personally, it's a decent matchup for Ewell. Maybe it's a decent dog play because, we did see Shaman Rice really give Julio Arce a lot of trouble with those crosses down the middle with his movement. And Shaman Rice is a very good kickboxer, but, Andre Ewell could pose those same issues potentially. So that's what I have to look more into. I haven't really looked into either guy too much yet. But I do, obviously have seen them fight in the past and kind of remember a little bit. And I feel as if, with all those things happening with Arse recently as well, outside of the cage, the line should probably be a little bit closer. So with that one, I do think, Yule maybe getting a little bit disrespected there. Moving on with Ian Heinisch versus Nasruddin Imavov. I do kind of agree with this line because we got a durable, veteran in Ian Heinisch who's been around. He's fought the who's who. He's coming off a fight against former title challenger in Kelvin Gastelum. And he's going to be taking on a young guy who's 0-2 so far, his first 2 UFC fights in Nasruddin Imavov. Or 1-1, excuse me. He did defeat Jordan Williams. But what he's shown is that, he's a pretty good striker, range striker. He has some dangerous weapons. He had Phil Haas pretty hurt at certain periods of that fight. But he can't really defend takedowns. He's not the best takedown defense guy. He doesn't really like being pressured too much. Against Jordan Williams, he showed to be a pretty hittable fighter. So I feel like Heinisch, with his style, pressure, wrestling, if he goes back to that, hits takedowns, should be able to get the win here. I mean, Ian Heinisch is a guy that struggles with guys that try to take him down in a lot of fights, but Imavov's not going to do that, and I think Heinisch is going to be able to pressure, make it ugly, hit some takedowns, and use his veteran savvy to get the win here. So do agree with that line. I think he should be a favorite, and I don't think he should be a huge favorite, maybe a little bit wider than he is right now, but I think it's a pretty accurate line on that one, Ian Heinisch and Nasruddin Imavov. Next year we got Adrian Giannis, Randy Costa. Great fight. I mean, one of the fights I've been looking forward to for a while. Both these guys have been winning this fight on Twitter, talking back and forth. And it's not malicious or anything. They both have good personalities, but, they want to fight each other. They're 2 elite prospects in the division. And, Randy Costa lost his debut to Brandon Davis, but has gotten 2 first-round knockouts in a row really quick, kind of his MO. And Adrian Giannis also came in, got 2 knockouts really quick in the UFC. So it's going to be interesting who comes out here and becomes that really high-level prospect. We got Randy Costa coming out of Sanford MMA, so he's definitely going to be making improvements. He's young. Adrian Giannis is young as well. He's trained out of Texas. He's a really good boxer, and it's going to be, if Giannis can get on the inside and, get past that kicking range of Randy and really try to counter him because he does have the superior boxing. Randy wants to be on the outside using his dynamic kicking game, his speed, and try to, catch Giannis with something big. And I do kind of agree with the line. I think maybe it could be a little bit closer lined, but, Randy Costa hasn't really proven that he could fight past the first round and win a fight, hasn't won a decision, and all of his wins are very early in fights. So unless you think he's going to knock out Giannis early, you have to have faith that, he's patched those holes where he can go long, not gas out, and, sustain that same type of, fluidity and pace throughout the whole fight. So he hasn't proven that yet, whereas Giannis has gotten 5 rounds, has won 3 rounds decisions, has been in there with probably higher level opponents. So I feel like Giannis is a little bit more proven at this point and probably is going to get the win and is the rightful favorite. But you can never count on a guy like Randy Costa. He's very dynamic, and I do think maybe it could be lined a little bit closer, but I do think overall not much. Maybe a minus 185 Giannis, I would say, but I think that's a pretty good line right there. And up next year, Jordan Williams versus Mickey Gall. This is another line I pretty much agree with. I think 2-1 odds on Jordan Williams are pretty good. I haven't really looked into this fight too much yet, but, Mickey Gall came in, had that CM Punk fight, fought Mike Jackson. He has some weird fights that he's had in the UFC, but he's proven that, he's stuck around. He's been able to, beat some other guys like George Sullivan, things like that, but, he hasn't really shown to be a UFC level fighter. His last fight, he improved his striking but got taken down controlled, and that's kind of been an issue for him throughout his career against Mike Perry. We got Jordan Williams, who's going to be dropping down again to 170, which I like. I think he's going to be a big guy. And, Jordan Williams, he's a durable forward pressure striker with good wrestling, which I think is probably a bad stylistic matchup for Mickey Gall because, we've seen Jordan Williams put out bigger guys with good chins. We've seen him take down guys, control them, and I just think he's a superior fighter to Mickey Gall. So I agree with that line. I think Jordan Williams probably is going to get the win in that one. But like I said, maybe I'm going to watch some tape and change my mind. So don't hold me 100% on these, but right now I'm thinking, Jordan Williams is a decent favorite there and probably a decent parlay piece as well. But up next year, Puna Soriano, Brendan Allen. one of these fights where I do agree with the line again. We got Brendan Allen as a slight favorite some books. We got even Puna as a slight favorite on other ones, but it's basically a pick-em line. And it's going to be, if Brendan Allen can get his grappling going, or if Puna's going to keep it on the feet and knock him out. So it's a pretty, in my opinion, easy fight to read. And you're just going to have to, choose who you think is going to be able to implement their game plan and do their thing. So I do think the line is pretty good. I mean, we got Brendan Allen, who has a lot more experience against higher-level guys, but Puna Soriano has a really good wrestling background, knockout power, and is the better striker. So he's kind of a rough matchup on paper for Allen. Allen has the experience, and, Allen is definitely a good fighter. He proved it again against Carl Roberson last time out. So I feel like both these guys have a little bit to prove here, and the line is correct. So I like that line for that fight. Up next, you got Darren Elkins taking on Darren Elkins taking on Derek Minner. Yeah, so this is a good fight. It's kind of a mirror match. Two guys that kind of like to do similar things, even though Derek Minner, I guess not really. I mean, they both like to grapple, but Derek Minner, he's more of a submission hunter, first rounder finish. And Darren Elkins is more of a grinder, take you to those later rounds and maybe finish you or maybe just beat you by decision. But personally, I feel like this line is off. I think it should be flipped, to be honest with you. I did go in on Derek Minner his last fight. Almost everyone was on Rosa. I bet on him, got the win there. And that's just because Charles Rosa has proven that he has very bad takedown defense. With Darren Elkins, he's going to be a great wrestler. He's proven that throughout his career. I don't think Minner is going to be able to go out there and just take him down consistently. I actually think Elkins is going to be able to take down Derek Minner. And on the feet, I think Elkins is superior, which is kind of strange to say for an Elkins fight, but I do believe he's the superior striker in this fight. Minner is going to be faster. He showed some power against Rosa, and he does throw wild, so Elkins' damage meter is a little bit up there. So Minner is going to have a chance to maybe touch him or hurt him if he throws some weird long combination and just lands. But obviously Minner's going to be looking for that submission early in the fight, and I just don't see him being able to go 3 rounds hard with a guy like Elkins, though. If you look at his career, I mean, Minner's losses, almost all of them are to wrestlers or grapplers that can defend the takedown or defend the submission and stay on top, beat him up. He tends to give his back when he gets tired. When you pass his guard, he's not really that dangerous on his back. And I think Elkins could really beat him up and dominate on top as well as be the superior striker. So I think the line should be flipped in that one. Elkins has a lot of really good high-level experience, whereas Minner doesn't as well. So I just feel like Elkins, even though he's older, he's taking some damage, should be the favorite there. So I like Elkins in that one. This next fight, we got Elise Reid, Sijara Eubanks. I agree with this line. I think it could be even wider, as strange as that seems with Eubanks being 6-6. But we got Elise Reid, who she's a good fighter. She could potentially do some things if she goes down to 115 and improves her skill set a little bit. But she's a striker. She likes to keep it at range. She has some decent scrambling ability on the ground, but her wrestling is not good. She can get taken down very easily. She's a small girl that's been fighting small girls. You saw her, if you watched her fight on TFFC against Jillian DeCourcy, who's an atomweight, she got taken down and grinded out for a large majority of that fight. She was able to get the win, but I disagreed with the decision personally. And I just feel like Eubanks dropping down to bantamweight again. She looks good, or not bantamweight, flyweight, excuse me. She looks good on social media. She's pretty ripped. She looks in good shape, better shape than I've seen her recently before fights. So, I feel like potentially she could make this weight. And when she made flyweight in the past, she was a beast. She never lost. She beat Lauren Murphy. She beat Roxanne Modaffari. She was able to just take him down and grind on him, beat him up pretty easily. And I don't see why she can't do that to Elise Reid. I feel like Eubanks should be a pretty sizable favorite, maybe even wider than she is right now, and probably be able to get it done pretty easily just with their wrestling. But yeah, I mean, with Sijara Eubanks, obviously, never go out there and max bet or do stuff like that, because you've just seen in the past her just shit the bed, or maybe she won't even make weight and the fight won't even happen. But just on paper, I think Eubanks is definitely a easy win on paper for her there, and she should be able to get it done unless she just messes up very badly herself. So up next, you got Kyler Phillips versus Raulian Paiva. Definitely a fight I got to look into more, because I do respect Raulian Paiva, but got to go with Kyler Phillips, and I do feel like he should be a pretty big favorite, almost minus 300. I don't know, but really, really, really like what I've been seeing from Kyler Phillips recently. His progression, he's been looking really good. Paiva, he's a flyweight moving up here. And I feel like Phillips is just probably a superior fighter everywhere. Grappling, striking, his fluidity, just everything about him, his confidence right now. So give me Kyler Phillips in that one. And got to look into it more. Maybe the line's a little bit wide. Paiva is a very good fighter, but Kyler Phillips is looking like the real deal. So up next we got Aspen Ladd, Macy Chiasson. I like Aspen in this one. I mean, we've seen Macy get taken down by girls that aren't really wrestlers and grind it out, things like that. So I feel like Aspen probably be able to get the win, but Macy, she's a big girl with a lot of good physical assets, and Aspen Ladd, the last couple times we've seen her on the scale, she looked really bad. She's taking a long layoff here. I think she had an injury, so torn ACL even or something like that, so a pretty bad injury. And for her to come in here, maybe she'll look bad on the scale again, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to go in there and say I want to bet Aspen Ladd 2-1 favorite, but I do think the odds are probably warranted with what we've seen from both girls throughout their careers. And this next one right here, this is a really interesting fight for me. Shamil Abdurakhimov making his return, taking on Chris Daukaus. And I haven't watched the Shamil Abdurakhimov fight in a while, but I feel like, I remember him being a very good striker. I remember him having a really nice, accurate right hand, good counters, good counter left hook, good movement. And his issue was with wrestlers, with guys that could take him down. So this fight I want to look into a little bit more because Chris Daukaus, he is, the belle of the ball right now. Came into the UFC. He's got in 3 first-round knockouts really quick in a row. So, this is going to be his 4th fight in a row to come in here and get the finish and look good. But, he's been fighting a lot of grapplers, slow plotters. Shamil Abdurakhimov, if what I remember is correct, I mean, he hasn't fought in a long time, so definitely need to go back and look. But I remember Shamil being a good mover and having good counters. So Daukaus may struggle a little bit in this one. It may be a kind of a low-volume point fight and might play out like a 50-50 fight. So this is one I'm eyeing Shamil a little bit. I'm going to look a little bit more into it, but I think it's Shamil Abdurakhimov, maybe a decent underdog there. So like I said, that's when I'm kind of looking at Shamil a little bit. And this next matchup, Macy Barber versus Miranda Maverick. I don't know. This is another one I got to look a little bit more into. I think it should be closely lined. Don't really have a lot to say about it right now. I mean, Miranda Maverick, I actually bet on Jillian Robertson against her, and that was a frustrating fight, man, because Jillian got the takedown so easy in round 2. Round 1, she just went in there and decided to strike with her, man. So that, I mean, if she could have went and got the takedown in the first round, maybe she could have got the win. But the 3rd round, she gassed out, and Miranda Maverick kept that pace, put it on her in that 3rd round. Macy Barber, she's a very physical girl, so I mean, I don't think Miranda's going to be able to just out-physical her. And the striking is going to be interesting. I mean, Macy hits hard, but her last fight, her striking looked pretty bad. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That one, like I said, I don't really have a lot to say. Maybe Maverick should be the slight favorite because she's been on a good streak recently. Macy hasn't. But I feel like both those girls are probably at a pretty similar spot in their careers right there. And this next one, Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw. This is one I have to look into again a little bit, kind of refresh my memory on TJ, just see how good this guy's wrestling is. Because on the feet, I do favor Corey. Obviously, TJ's a little bit older, man. He had some surgeries as well on that layoff. So, he's coming in. We don't know, how much those PEDs affected his performances in the past. We don't know how he's going to look off the layoff with the surgeries, being 35, 36 years old. So, I mean, I do think Corey Sandhagen being a minus 185 favorite, minus 175 in other places is warranted because he's been looking really good. TJ, like an old layoff, PD suspension, injuries. So, a lot of good things for Corey Sandhagen if you just look at it in that way. But Sandhagen has proven, he struggled with guys that could take you down. TJ has proven he could take guys down and dominate them. And got to look a little bit more into it and see what happens. TJ obviously is a great striker as well. You can't sell him short in that aspect. So I'm not trying to say Sandhagen is just going to obliterate him on the feet. He has no chance there. He obviously does there as well. So that's a high-level fight right there. And I agree with the line, though. I think that, Sandhagen, around minus 200 is correct because of the things I said. And because Sandhagen is just a beast, man. He's a great fighter. So that's kind of what I see so far. UFC on ESPN 32. Just early look at the odds here. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to put these videos out every week. So, give me your opinion down below what you think about this video. Do you like it? And also, check out the Patreon. I have a bet on there already. I'm going to be putting a couple more bets as well. Really appreciate everyone that supports over there. And really, just going to be trying to bring some more content and stuff on the channel. So be on the lookout for that. And really appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later.